I have seen so many people asking this question. Why did I go to the prayer mountain, but my life became worse than even before? I have also seen other people saying, I'll never go back to the prayer mountain again because of what happened exactly after I was in the prayer mountain. And still another group says, I went to the prayer mountain, but I was dry, I did not have breakthrough, I could not connect, I just felt out of place. If you have been concerned with such kind of comments, or you are one of the people who have been making such comments, then this video is yours. And please follow me on YouTube for more videos. One big mistake we make when we go to the prayer mountain, you believe so much in that prayer mountain, you believe so much in the founder of the prayer mountain, but you forget that the founder himself or herself does not trust the mountain, but he or she trusts in the Lord. They have only given you a platform for you to call on the name of the Lord with minimal distractions. But you should never be deceived that God answers prayers because you are in a particular place. Let me show you in the Bible where God answered prayers made in very odd places. Daniel, he prayed while in the lion's den. Nobody else had ever prayed while in the lion's den. Paul and Silas, they prayed while in prison. Jonah, he prayed while in the belly of the fish. Those are completely odd places. Those were not prayer mountains. But the miracles that were performed out of those prayers were extraordinary and historical even to date. Why? Because the venue of prayer does not really matter. What matters is, are you praying in the will of God? Someone would ask me, Pastor, then, what is the purpose of a prayer mountain? Prayer mountain is like a school. Learners go to school because school is the best environment where even books have been brought together, experienced teachers have been brought together, students, that is learners with a common purpose and goal, have been brought together. So it is the best environment for you to learn. But that does not mean that you cannot learn at home. You can still go with those books at home and decide you will never go to school. Provided you are disciplined, you will still learn and then go back and do exam and even do better than those who are in school. That's how a prayer mountain functions. Prayer mountain gives you a platform. Prayer mountain gives you an environment with minimal distractions for you to concentrate in prayer and in the things of God. But that does not mean that if you pray while in your washroom or in your bathroom that God will not hear you. Purpose and reason matters more. Your relationship with God matters more. How you walk with God matters more. God can speak to you even when you have not fasted. He can speak to you. Elijah did not have to fast for the fire of God to come from heaven and burn his sacrifice at Mount Carmel. He did not have to fast. He called on the name of the Lord and told the Lord, may you bring down fire so that these people may know that I am your servant and that they may know you are God. We cannot manipulate God with our fasting. One big mistake we make is that sometimes we use fasting as a tool of twisting the hand of God to do what we want. God does not do what we want. God fulfills his purpose. Mark you, it is only the purpose of God that prevails. So, why do we fast? We do not fast for God. We fast for ourselves. Actually, God does not eat. Even if you fast for 40 days, you cannot scare God with a fasting of 40 days and 40 nights. We do not fast for God. We fast for ourselves. To humble ourselves, to be in a position to hear God. So, fasting can go amiss when the intention and the motive is wrong. That's why God condemned Israelites fasting in the book of Isaiah 58 from verse 3 all the way to verse 7. Actually, in verse 3, the Israelites ask God this question. Why have we fasted and you have not seen it? Why have we humbled ourselves and you have not noticed? Actually, God speaks to them and challenges their fasting. He finds their fasting to be hypocritical. In verse 4 and 5, God asks them, is this the kind of fasting you call fasting? How can you fast like this and expect your voices to be heard? We fast to suppress the carnal mind and desires and to awaken the spiritual person so that the spiritual person is more powerful and has more authority even to cast out demons and to defeat the work of the enemy. So, if the purpose and the reason and the motive for fasting is not biblical and is not right, then you can go to the prayer mountain, spend 1 week, and come out of the prayer mountain, and then the devil beats you 9-0 because you are coming out of the prayer mountain empty. You did not encounter God because your reason and your motive was wrong. So that time, you come out of the prayer mountain deceived that you are stronger and you are able to fight the devil. But the devil can see that you are even weaker. That's why you find yourself in a position of coming from the prayer mountain, and then the battle becomes even tougher and tougher, and you are defeated. The battle may become tougher, but you should not be defeated. If you are defeated in that battle and your faith is affected and you no longer believe in God because you went for prayers and God did not answer you, then that means you never encountered God in that mountain because your motive was wrong. The problem is not the mountain. The problem is you. In other words, I'm saying you will fast, but you are not ready to forgive. You are fasting, you are not ready to let go the bitterness in your heart. You are fasting, but you are not ready to stop the corruption you are doing. You are fasting, but you are not ready to stop the adulterous life you have been living. God does not operate that way, for we cannot manipulate God. We must remain in obedience to His will and His word, for His full purpose to be fulfilled in our lives. Otherwise, God still loves us, and you will see God doing things in your life. But His purpose will never be fully fulfilled until the day you will accept to live your sinful life and live for God the whole of your life. You cannot manipulate God. We can sing the song of grace and grace and grace. Grace is good, it has saved us, and it is the grace that will cause us to see God. But God hates sin. And that is exactly what separates us from Him. So we miss a chance of being friends of God and close to Him. David sinned against God. He humbled himself. God forgave him, but he never repeated the mistake. He never repeated the sin because he minded his relationship and his friendship with God. But what do? We want grace to keep on covering us. God has no problem with that. The grace will cover you every day. But that which we call friendship, intimacy, relationship with God, we will always miss it. And that is the only platform that God provided for us to reason with Him and even cause God to change His mind and even do something better because of how we have reasoned with Him, and we have given Him a reason not to harm us because of our sins, but to save us in His mercy and grace. So, do not put your faith in the prayer mountain, neither should you put it in the founder of the prayer mountain, neither should you ever put your faith in fasting itself. Your faith and your trust should only be in God, who can answer you from wherever you are. We go to the prayer mountain to concentrate. We fast so that we may be able to humble ourselves and that we may be in a position to hear God so that He may reveal His plan to us, and we shall pray according to His plan and purpose. Jesus prayed to God and said, "But not my will, thy will be done."